Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard John, and apparently a re-subbed Crowley. Although we have yet to see the proof, we'll take it on faith. Hello, Crowley. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Of course we're having it today, Zachariah. What did you think? Friday is my birthday, not today. Happy Juneteenth, everybody, however. My husband has the day off. I do not. There we go. There we go. 53 months. That's insanely long. That's insanely long. That's a number of months older than I am. Meaning that if you made them into years, of course. If I was only 53 months old, I'd be pretty happy. There's the proof. Yes, exactly. There we go. Awesome, awesome. How's everybody today? I actually got sleep for 2 nights in a row. I feel like a changed woman. Recovered from my horrible sleep deprivation vacation. I don't recommend taking a sleep deprivation vacation. Just so we're clear. I wasn't planning on it being that when we started it. Alrighty. We're going to work on the back of this dude today. So I need to get my colors. My colors of... There we go. Yeah, regular routine. Yep. Going back to the running track tonight. Gonna up my, I think I'm gonna go to 30 seconds running, 20 seconds rest, walking. I think that's my new thing. I've been reading a running book. I told you guys about it. It's one about the lady who decided to get essentially as fit or fitter than she was in her 20s after she turned 50. And she succeeded, by the way. Okay, need ultramarine. And lantern, and then we will deal with some white and some russet brown. So let's line these guys up. I have to make sure I have an extra bottle of russet around here. I'm certain I do. Yeah, I live by my routine. It is funny, David's mom, when we were on vacation, was just like, you guys are real homebodies. And the way she said it was just like, it wasn't praise, you know? It was just remarking on it, in a way, you know, the way that they do. We all know that parental thing, right? It goes right over David's head, but I catch it. And I'm just like, I rely on my routine to get anything done. I am a creature of routine. Without the routine, I get nothing accomplished. I am going to want to stay home. Like, given my druthers, my favorite time is when I can look at my schedule and see that I have an entire month or more of absolutely nothing scheduled. Just regular life. That is my happy zone. Which is not to say that I don't enjoy going on vacations and stuff. Obviously I do. But part of me does so with kind of a resigned air, understanding that I will get nothing done. That all of the things that I'm trying to work on will be totally thrown to the winds while I'm doing that. Going out can't be part of the routine. Like, no. Understand, though, that I'm a top 7 discipline and a top 4 focus. Like, strengths-wise, that means that I must have the routine. It's not optional, and I can't just program going away into the routine. Doesn't work. Yeah, it's I need the things and familiar spaces and the schedule and the expectation of what's going to happen every day so that I can plan around it without stress. Like, it is both a superpower and a curse. It's a superpower because I can get so much crap done when I'm given those parameters. Obviously, I'm writing novels and doing a Patreon and keeping up a house and, exercising and trying to learn to run, and you want to add on some more? But I need to do that. I must have the stable platform of the day-to-day. Right, but I don't count that as a disruption. Like going out to dinner for my birthday, it's a slight disruption. I'll still go running afterwards, right? But I don't count that. What I'm talking about are trips, right? That's what she was talking about. is like taking off. And what I think that it's funny too, because they've only just both become fully retired, but I feel like they've adapted to that lifestyle so quickly, because they said something like, oh, that's right, you guys still work, you know. And I'm like, rub it in, Fred. I'll remember. See, and I'm perfectly happy with breaking routine to go on a nice vacation that I'm looking forward to. Sure, that's fine, guys. But I know that while that is happening, and indeed in the entire day leading up to it, possibly day and a half, nothing else will get done. Like, my focus will be shattered. And it usually takes me about, depending on how much sleep depth there was or disruption, it might take me a day to get back into it after I get back. Oh yeah, specifically connected with trips. Yeah, she definitely was, because they travel a lot. And they try to travel, I think, at least once a month. That would drive me insane. Like, when that happens, that's what our fall is like, right? We've got ReaperCon, my dog nap. Usually I try to go home to see my family in like mid to late summer. Then it's ReaperCon. Then it's my dog show, National Dog Show for Shiloh's. Then it's the holidays, right, with people either coming to us, or most often they come to us, but still a big disruptor usually. And then it's travel with my family, or some sort of like our Hawaii trip or whatever we're doing, thrown in there somewhere between fall and winter. And that's just, it just totally, like, yeah. I can't. I just can't. Hi, Rain. But yeah, and it's just like, I enjoy trips, but I mostly enjoy trips if they're like one a season. Like, I would be a happier Anne, honestly, I try to keep summer open, Smallish Sam. Like, I do little trips. Like, I'm going to go out to do the puppy evaluation on Kiki's nieces and nephew. And that's just a 2-day, right? I'm going to lose the weekend, but it's worth it to see my friends. And then, go home to see my family, which is something I try to do because my parents are getting older and who knows how long they're going to be around, right? But it really, like, I almost wish I could just, like, combine those with something else. Kiki, enough! Where are you? Yeah, being a bad girl. That's what you were doing. I'm like, she sounds weird. Where you were in the bedroom. Hold on, I gotta close the door. Must close the door to the guest bedroom. Somebody was sitting on the bed barking. Go away. Get away. Go. You probably lost your ball in here, and you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Go settle. Go settle. Work. Work. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. They travel and they do it a lot, and you don't know. I mean, but there are people who are keyed into that, who are fine with that. Just like I'm fine with, staying at home. Pardon me. Got to put on some lotion. Hands are very dry today. Ugh. But yeah, it was just funny. But yeah, I know that a lot of people are able to, like, live their lives with a lot of travel inserted in it. I'm just not. Or it's probably because I fill up my life so much. I have so many things, right? And I've tried to cut down on my things. Let's to add some water to these guys. Yeah. I don't need these very thick now because I already have a base coat on. Hi there. What? Is that a real bone? Is that a Banila bone or a bully? It didn't feel like a bully. Are you saying you need a bully? You're just going to interrupt my stream nonstop, aren't you? Aren't you? Yeah, I want you to go settle, Bob. I want you to go settle. Go bother Daddy. Go bother your daddy. Yes. He's in the other room. He's imminently botherable. He won't thank me for that. Yeah, you know what? I just can't do that. I just, not if I'm just so much happier when I'm in my routine. Like, for example, tonight, Bryce B. Kokenauer, who's in our chat sometimes, is here in San Jose. So we're going to go out with he and his wife, right? But that's fine. That's a couple hours. Doesn't matter. And the majority of my day is already over. Like, at that point, all I have to do is still fit in my workout. So it's more traveling. It's more like, and you know, she said it as if she hoped that I would be the one to like maybe make David get out of the house more or something, you know. But the fact is that David mentioned this, that we're very compatible for that reason. We both are happiest when we're just at home, in our zone, in our place, able to do the things that we like to do the most. Or in my case, you know, workaholicing with all the things I have to do. Yeah, she's not being too bad right now. She's excited because David is home, because he has Juneteenth off. So so then we've got our colors. Now we can do some mixing and stuff. Young lady, just settle. Just settle. But yeah, yesterday she was apparently being a super brat because David was home. When I was at CrossFit, she was being a super brat. Hey, super brat, why don't you settle? It's work. Work, Kiki. And usually, during the week, she's fine, you know. Oh, work. Okay, I'll go away, mommy. But not right now. Oh, I need to mix a black. I forgot to mix my black, guys. Remember, we're doing that by mixing our blue and our brown. I do need to add my shadows here. And I'm keeping it a little bit on the blue side. There we go. Just a little bit, because shadows are cooler anyway, so keeping it with your cool color both keeps it from going too greenish and keeps it on the cool side of things. But yeah, so pretty soon, we're going to start ramping up into our traveling all the time season. And I also have a brain that, like, when I have a trip coming, I know it. Like, you know, my brain starts kind of like overthinking it and kind of stressing out about it a little bit too early. Like, I wish I could just turn my brain off about that. Maybe it's something to work on. Let me get this situated. I changed my camera position and it's a little bit off, so there we go. That's better. I think I want to slide this up a little. There we are. Just want to make sure I don't have a shadow on the mini. Let's see here. So I want to kind of look at this rim because it's not reading quite right to me. I think I need to bring it up in line with where the light is on this shoulder. So essentially the light going down this far when the light here is up here doesn't make sense, right? So that's the kind of thing that you want to fine tune and figure out. You'll get kind of, when you start thinking about it, you get a better sense for it. So I'm going to block in some dark there and keep blocking it in. But I want my light to be in line with all the rest of this light and shadow. So I'm going to bring up this also, just a little bit. And then I want to bring, likewise, the highlight up on this. Keep the shadow over, pull it over, make it darker here. So that my light is very much on top. Yeah, Kiki will just make herself a nuisance pretty much. Though I think now she's figured out that it really is work. Mommy is not just, you know, saying that so she can go and settle. Put a little bit of dark on the rim here because it would be a tiny shadow here. Yeah, you guys have far more disruptive animals in general. Compared to that, Kiki is not nearly as so bad. Kariniko, you would have loved when I was in Ashland. I bought myself many early birthday presents when I was in Ashland. Lots of soap. Lots of soap. I love handmade soap so much. But they had a yarn store that was amazing. It was like 2.5 times the size of my local yarn store. It was wonderful. Like, and I didn't even let myself look at the majority of the store. Like, I went to one corner, which was kind of the types of yarns I was looking at, and I pretty much just limited myself to like that one like third of a wall and then a little bit more of a wall, and I didn't dare look at all the other shinies because, oh my god, because yarn. I bought some really pretty blue and purple and pink kind of sunrise colored yarn to do a shawl. A faster shawl than the one that I started working on. So I want something to wrap. I want to wrap for a wrap or a poncho kind of thing for my for the fall here. And then I bought some really super bulky, really cool, almost dreadlock looking kind of yarn for a new scarf. Because ugly scarf is fine, but I kind of want something not so ugly. And it's got a super cool color to it. Really dark marbled blues and purples and browns. It's really neat. If I had thought, I would have just grabbed it and shown it off on stream. So if I want this to be kind of burnished, then I want to make a transition zone here where it blends. So only with a very shiny edge will you have a hard transition. So if we want a more gradual transition, we need to paint it that way. And that'll make it look like more like burnished metal, which is more common for weaponry. Yeah, I'm still managing to keep myself, mostly because I'm not made of money, right? I'm a freaking artist. So that does force me to keep my yarn consumption within control, unless I want to, because I'm not going to rack up my credit card in pursuit of wool. Which is good, because my credit rating is actually really good, and my credit limit is pretty high. I could do some real damage if I let myself go. So yeah. Oh, you should. He should get a rainbow hat. Yeah, with a pom-pom. SSC totally needs that in his life. He's told me so. I'm going to do just a little bit of brown for the kind of shadow on the edge there. I'm surprised you haven't done that, Kerniko. Surprised he doesn't already have one. But yeah, my thing is I try not to buy yarn unless I actually do have a project in mind, like something I want to do. But I did let myself go. Like, I really, really enjoyed that store. Like, that store would be one of my major motivations to go back to Ashland, honestly. Not the plays, just the yarn store. Am I pathetic? I'm doing some, like, spot mixes here. Kind of like people do on a wet palette, except I find no problem doing them on a well. But when I only need tiny bits of this color to blend these edges, I don't see the need to, why not just mix a tiny bit on the edge of my palette. Alright, now let's take pure white. Ah. Oh, yeah, yeah, shop bought. Your pom poms are terrible. Well, this isn't a. This is an opportunity for you to practice your pom poms. I haven't ever made one yet, so. All right, so kind of like that. I want to get a little bit. I wanted to get that light kind of up there. Since it's metal, I am still going to have a little bit of yellow in my white because that's my light source. So my whites are going to be very, very close to white, but they're actually going to be yellow whites. But it's going to be really bright. Hey there, T-Cat. Here's the front. The front's actually done. He's holding the torch a little behind his head, so that means the back is a little more lit than the front. So we have that bag of glowing crystals to do the thing. I wouldn't take some online test, Rain, to heart. I would actually go in and get yourself assessed somewhere. Like, talk to your doctor. Online tests are not a good judgment call. Like, it's also very general, and it doesn't really, like, every person is unique. I think a lot of us, like, show some signs, like, that we do, but I certainly would not take some online test as gospel. A lot of online tests are honestly just clickbait anyway. They're using, like, very general terms to, like, get you to just take them and give them eyeballs for their ads, so I would not trust it. And your fiance is great because they have, they kind of have an outside opinion of you, so they're not in your head. But even so, unless they are a psychologist or a psychiatrist, I don't know that they can really assess that. I would get a professional opinion. Yep. Especially because, if you're like feeling that way about how it's going to affect your creative pursuits, let's just say that, okay, so Rain, this is the thing, right? You've been doing your creative pursuits just fine or in your own way without knowing that you have or don't have X. So if you suddenly knew that you had X, it shouldn't really change the way you do anything unless it helps you to find a better way to do some things. Because if there's like if it could affect you negatively, it would already be doing so. Just kind of putting it that way. So yeah, I would not take that as anything. I would go if your fiance is concerned or thinks it would help you, or you think it would help you, then yeah, go see a medical professional. Get yourself honestly assessed. I mean, because let's face it, all of us are a little bit shiny squirrel sometimes. But yeah, get an official opinion. And how you doing, D. Clearman? Yeah, it's nice that you're able to make a show. We're doing the cool model today with the cool lighting. I have a lot of the sword to do for sure, but I just wanted to kind of assess. I had screwed up my torch, so I needed to fix it. Right. Yep, Laura has it exactly right. If you feel like you're struggling, then talk to your doctor or seek out a psychologist licensed to diagnose. But you know what? If you're struggling with writing, that is not a sign that you have ADHD. It could be just a sign that you are something about your process isn't working and you're stalled out, and there can be all sorts of reasons for that have nothing to do with ADHD. Like, if you find it hard to work on your manuscript, that does not necessarily mean anything like ADHD. It could just be that like your brain is the type that wants to be certain before it writes something, or maybe it needs to think more before writing, or a lot of the time, and since I work with a writing coach on exactly this topic, I'll tell you that everybody's got their own particular weirdnesses and their own particular things that get between them and their creativity. And learning what makes you tick and your best process is a long journey. It's not impossible. Just math and being focused. See now though, but if you don't struggle with writing, it's possible that you just have a brain that wants to work on one thing at a time, like work on as far as putting your main body of energy toward that. For example, I'm like that. Right now, I am really focused on like learning to run, but I am finding that it pulls energy away from other things in my life. So I am having to keep vigilant with myself to make sure that I also stay focused on my writing. And it's harder to do that. And it's certainly not optimal for me, because I'm just one of those people who focuses on like one thing at a time with all my being. I'm just going to put some of that gray, guys, that neutral gray down here to replace the blue underpainting. The same kind of neutral gray we're using here on the front, right here. Yep. Yeah, Laura's got it on the nose. Yep, ultimately it's up to you. I mean, it depends also on how much you struggle. But then, you know what? If you're struggling with those things and then you don't get like the diagnosis you expect, then it's going to be some other part of your personality that you need to work with. Right? So even if you go to a doctor, you might not get the diagnosis you expect. Because, like I said, there are lots of mental quirks that can make us think that we have X or Y. So yeah, it's up to you. Hopefully you find something that will help you, whether it be a diagnosis or a greater understanding of how you tick. Oh, I wouldn't have let my professor know anything until I was sure. Sometimes things just don't turn out the way we think. I know for ages I was convinced that my body didn't like carbs very much. And it turns out that actually some of the symptoms that I thought were carb related were actually the fact that I wasn't eating enough protein. Because now I'm eating like more carbs than I've eaten in quite a while in the form of fruit and vegetables and stuff. And I'm not having those problems anymore since I upped my protein. So sometimes we're very bad at self-diagnosis, I guess is my point. I was anyway. Shows on your math test. Well, we'll see. Yeah. Whatever works for you, Rain. I would get an official diagnosis, but it's up to you. Because the danger is when you buy into a narrative, for example, oh, I'm not very good at painting, or I can't do freehand. Definitely not as important as, ADHD or not ADHD, I understand, but just to like put it in a reference that fits this stream. But when you buy into that narrative, it may not actually be objectively true, but as you figure that, oh, that must be the thing, it becomes true. You are certain that that's the reason, and your brain adopts that as part of your identity. And it can be not dangerous, but it can be just sobering to then come later in your life to a conclusion like I did, where it's like, oh, it's not the carbs at all. It's the fact that I wasn't eating protein. Or, actually I'm fine at freehand. I just needed to learn how to do it. That kind of thing. So yeah, I wish you luck whichever road you take. So I'm just going to kind of try to creep up a little bit here also with the dark up on this side of the shield. Yeah, you believe in it. Right, exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's the problem with self-diagnosis, is that then other people around you may go, all right, but if you don't get an actual diagnosis, they may say, well then, they don't respect it, like Laura says. Oh, interesting, Smallish Sam. I didn't know that. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, if you have a diagnosis, then they have to give you, like, things that will help you equalize the field, right? That's really cool, though, that they do that. The extra tutoring and the extra test time, like, that's great. I'm all for anything that, like, helps people deal with being how we're all just a little bit different from each other. So I'm throwing in a little bit of shadow here on the opposite side, just to dull this down a bit, because our light is over here. Right. Alrighty. So yeah, so you see how that, I'm just using the russet brown, I'm kind of dimming down this. I'm still keeping it warmer because I've still got a little bit of light coming right here. But I'm dimming it a little so you can see it. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to grab some of my brown and I'm going to bring down the edge right in front of here just a little bit. I want to see that transition. I want to see a little bit of difference so that this becomes the real hot spot, and I want to see that a little bit more. Yeah, you needed a diagnosis for all sorts of work-related stuff. Yep. I just feel like it's, if you don't know, like, you should definitely be sure about something serious like that. Something that could affect your entire life. Because then resources become available to you that will help you work with that more, right? I would also just worry. Until I had a certain diagnosis, I would worry a lot about it. That's just me, though. Me and my weirdness. Everybody's individually weird. I'm going to bring a little warmth down here. Again, I'm going to shrink the light a little bit here with my brown so that I can really show that this is... Because keeping this entire edge light wasn't really telling me where the light was coming from. So now I have to look at my torch and draw a straight line. I want this to be the brightest area, so I need to bring this in a little bit here. That was why I did all those medical tests earlier this year, because I wanted to finally nail down whether I had Crohn's or not, as much as we could. And lo and behold, I did not. Which is a great relief. So again, bringing that brown in. The nice thing about russet brown, guys, is that it is so yellow that you can use it like this. You can use it to shade orange yellows really, really nicely. You can see how those are coming together now. And we can line up the torch with that light section right there. Boop, there it is. And then I'm going to intensify my yellow light. I also need to put some blue up here, I think. Or is that the strap? No, that's the strap, so I need some brown there. Self-diagnosis is the worst, and medical professionals are the worst people who try. Oh yeah. So like doctors who try to self-diagnose are the worst examples of it. Yeah, I can see that because if you're a medical professional, man, all those things in your brain, I could see how you need somebody outside of yourself. I over painted with red on this strap, and I want to take that back. So I'm taking some yellow and white, and I'm just painting that right out so it can be its own thing. Yeah, I try never to self-diagnose because I just panic. I'm just likely to believe the worst thing. Okay, so I want to make the back of this shield a little, like, really darken it down here. And bring that line in here. There. And I did a little blorf, so I'm going to grab some water quick and scrub that off. There we go. But yeah, I would be convinced that I was like, I had all sorts of crap. There we go. Just get a little bit more shadow in here. Pretty much just tuning. We can see how that brown is really, this is really looking more real now, which is great. That's what I want. And when I need to have that reflective highlight on the other side away from the light, I'm using that gray. I'm going to do a little bit of gray highlight down in this brown as well, I think, but not quite yet. I want to bring up this highlight here. Yeah, I'm a little bit behind on the Patreon right now, so I'm trying to catch up. That's taking a lot of my energy too. Boop. There we go. I think that's about right. Yeah, I understand that. And if it turns out that you are ADHD, then that will have been a very good catch on your fiance's part. But, yeah. But that can come sometimes work against us too. Other people's assessments of us. Unless they're really knowledgeable about the subject. There we go. So just a little bit more brown there to get that strap going. Yeah, I was going to say, you're in this chat, Rain, you're in a good place, because I know several people in this chat have been diagnosed with it, so they are not speaking hypothetically. Or at least several people in this chat in the past have mentioned that they were affected. So I don't want to, I started a little light there. I don't think I want to go that light though, because the leather's not that shiny, probably. It's not going to be nearly that shiny. So I need to get a yellow white, mix it with a brown, get a lighter brown essentially that's very yellowy, and use that instead, because going too light here is, when you go really light, you suggest shininess, and most things other than truly shiny things on a model are pretty much highlighted within the same kind of gamut. They're not really, you don't really split hairs with surfaces except for truly shiny ones. So now I brought in this kind of yellowy brown color. That I like a little more. Thanks to everybody in the chat who's helping educate on this, by the way. I appreciate you guys. Now, one thing I haven't dealt with is these stitches here at all, and I probably need to. And since it's warmer, I'm going to grab my brown, and actually, even though it's not that much darker than the red, I'm going to use my brown to try to bring out these stitches. Because I'm trying to keep to, like, when something is on a highlighted surface, the shadows there are just not going to be very intense. And so if I take my brown and I just kind of outline, like, the edge of these stitches away from the light, introduce a really small shadow there, it can hopefully help these get a little bit more visible. And I do need to go down the middle as well. I could add just a tiny bit of my black to this brown, but I think I want to try it out just with regular brown first. Oops. We do. We have several display cases. We have 2 in the main room. Most of the minis are David's, though, Rain. I did most of my painting I have either sold or given away through the years. So I actually have very few models of my own that I painted that I have kept. I'm going to get out red, guys, just because I might want to highlight these stitches in the same color, so I'm going to need it. But yeah, so we have 2 big cases in the main room, which are pretty much our like high-end stuff that we have painted, and also things that we have purchased or been given by our friends who paint. David has in particular bought some commission models from very, very famous painters. So we have those as well, which is really nice when you want to actually have an example in hand. That's why I tell people, like, buying a piece from an artist you really love can be a really nice way to improve, because if you have an example of their work close to hand, then you can work, it's more easy to work from it. But yeah, most of it's David, because David is never, like, with very few examples, David never gives away or sells. I think he's sold maybe 1 mini, and actually it was just for Reaper credit because he wanted to do 1 model for Reaper. But otherwise, like, David will do miniature trades with friends, but otherwise he doesn't sell his work. So he has everything, like everything he's ever done from when he was just learning on up, pretty much. Except for maybe his Warhammer models. I think he gave those. Those were like some of his earliest stuff that he gave away, I think, to friends who played when he stopped. Hey there, Twistome. Good to see you. But yeah, so, I mean, 2 different philosophies, right? I was painting to live for a while there, so I didn't keep anything. I sold it all because I needed to eat and to pay rent. With only like 1 or 2 exceptions. Like when I have a model that wins a competition, then I keep it. So like Halfling Assassin, I actually was going to maybe sell, but then she won Best in Show at our local painting competition, and then I felt like I just couldn't do it. So I'm trying to get in here and get these guys, get these lines filled in. But yeah, so there's two different philosophies. Like, in retrospect, I wish I'd kept more of my old stuff. Hey there, Joe. Joe, I was gonna sell more minis from this stream. Like, when I first began all this, I had thought that I would. But in reality, many of them I just give to Reaper. And in return, Reaper keeps me in store credit so that I can continue buying new models and refreshing my paint collection when I need it for this stream. So I keep probably a couple a year that I really like that I've done for myself. And there are others that, like, I've thought about selling that I've kept. But then the thing is that when I keep a model from this stream, I have found that it's really useful to have those models around to refer to during the stream, right? So, like, when somebody asks a question, I'm able to say, oh yeah, we did that with the mouseling. Here, let me get it, right? And I've got a painted example directly to hand, which is just so very useful. I also tend to keep things that are first time I've done it, which this model qualifies for, since I haven't done the real colored underpaint before this model. But otherwise, Pendrake, this model, like, if it were not the first example of something, I might give it to Reaper. Because although I like it, and it's really cool, like, I could easily give this to Reaper, and I'd have no problem giving it to Ron. It's not like Angry Link, who I really liked just as a piece. I also kept him because it was the first time I'd managed to execute on the waterfall the way I wanted to do water. So just getting a little bit extra highlighting in here to get those little stitches to stand out, and then I've got to get my brush in there kind of to trim up some of these shadows that got a little bit overdone. I think we're okay. Yeah. Nope, she's just not, I've been working on, I finished Crystal Dragon instead, Rain. I haven't picked up White Rabbit because she wasn't even close. But Crystal Dragon we finished a couple weekends ago, so I just need to do his plinth now. But all of his scales and crystals and his eyes and everything are all done. So yeah. Now I just need to paint the plinth. And the next one to work on and finish is this one because she's so very close. She's so close. Like, one day would probably do it. One good solid day of a couple few hours. But yeah, so I wanted Crystal Dragon done for ReaperCon so I could put him in the competition, and I will. I like him. I think he's nice. I don't really enter to win anything at ReaperCon anymore. I just like enter to enter something. So, but that was a big project. So I have 3 more models already that I've prepped. So I don't know when White Rabbit will get work done on her. Or I've got 4 projects, but I need to do a little bit of putty work on one of them still. The one from Moonlight that I'm going to paint as a Ravenclaw witch. Alright, so now I need to look at this and see. I need to get down here onto this purple and maybe mix it a purple-gray instead. Notice, by the way, what I'm doing here, guys, now that we've actually worked here. We are painting with red, yellow, blue, black, white, and brown. The brown is the only idiosyncrasy here, and the black technically is a mixed black, so cross that off because we weren't using an actual black. That black is a mixture of these 2 colors. So we are painting with the primaries, white, and a brown and a black that we mixed. So this is like the purest, like, you know, like the minimalist art approach. And it just shows you, and these aren't even, this is a pure pigment, this is close to a pure pigment, this is close to a pure pigment. So we almost have primaries here, we have one there. But this is a great example of how many colors and tones you can get with just that, right? Yeah, Juneteenth is one that, like, it's just taking people time to remember that it's a thing, I think, in other states other than Texas, as you say, Pendrake. All right, so I'm going to mix a gray, which is going to be taking our black over into a new puddle. I'm going to put some white into it, see what color I've got. It's kind of a bluish. I'm going to add a little bit of red. I want to essentially have my shadow here be purplish because it is, it's a red thing in the shadow, so I need to add more red, more red, more red, until I get a dark purple gray. There we go. That's looking okay. So dark purple gray. Are you a patron, Joe? Are you on my Patreon? Because when I do decide to sell stuff, it goes to the Patreon first. We usually do a like a visible auction, like people can just put their bids in the comments. And I started at a relatively low price for my work, which is I usually start them around $100, maybe 150 if I really like the piece, and half hope that it doesn't sell. But yeah, so patrons get first, and you don't have to be a paying patron, you can be a free patron. But people who are on my Patreon pretty much get first notice if I sell anything. It's one of the perks. It's a perk I don't use very often. I probably should use more often. Almost Retired is pretty good though, Joe. Sometimes I think that I would like to be retired, and then I like look at it and I'm just like, I would probably just keep doing the stuff I'm still doing now. Because for me, retirement has never meant stopping working. It's just meant being able to work at something that I really enjoy. But that's what I'm doing right now. So really, I'm in early retirement. It doesn't feel like it, all this work. So I'm going to bring this gray purple in, and I'm going to start highlighting these folds here where we got this big shadow. I'm just going to kind of bleach, going to add a little bit of reflected light by putting this purple. Yeah, the free level doesn't cost you anything, and you essentially get early access to the videos I post on YouTube, Joe. You get to see them before the rest of the world. And it lets you know when a new one comes up. Patreon is what keeps me actually alive and pays the bills for me, so. But I started a free tier as an experiment, and I enjoy it, so I'm going to keep it out. Keep it up. Alright, so just bringing it up a little bit so it's not just a black hole, because there is some reflected light back here. We can see it here, so that means we need to bring up a little bit here. And since our shadows are bluish, just adding a slight purple hint to that makes sense. Yeah, not urgent, Joe. You don't have to like join anytime soon. I'm sure I will talk on stream here if I'm gonna sell something. And like I said, it doesn't happen very often because often I'm just gonna give the model to Reaper or I'm gonna keep it for myself. So I kind of have to assess a model and see if it's what I think suitable for selling. Like, in order for me to sell a piece, it really has to be a certain quality level. This model definitely does fill that perk, but I don't know that I will sell it just because, like I said, it's the first time I've done this, and I tend to like to keep models that are an example of the first time I've successfully managed to do a thing. Because I find that having a reference to hand to remind myself of how I do it until I've got it dialed in. But having that reference to hand lets me remind myself about how I did some stuff. I find that useful. Now this purple has another use as well, which is that when I need another highlight, but it's actually like in danger of being like kind of could be getting some warm light, I can mix that purple with my pale yellow and get kind of a purpley gray color that I feel is a little more suitable to bring up highlights on this side. It's like this yellowish purplish gray color is that. And it's this purple with a bit of yellow in it and white. And I chose the purplish color because the light is yellow, and if I want to mute that light, then I'm going to be working with adding a purple into it. So since I just mixed a purple, I did that. Nice. Thanks, Rain. Yeah, the Patreon is has definitely changed my life for the better. I remember the night when I was so terrified to start it. Like I had set it all up. I had my first content ready to put up on it, just so there was something there when people came. And I sat there staring at that screen for a good half hour, just terrified to hit go. So I texted Bridget, Kiki's breeder, one of my besties, and I showed her the screen, and she's like, "Do it!" So I did it. Sometimes you need that push. It's a good friend who will give you that push. Now I want that black again, and I want to bring in a shadow. I'm really, really like getting nitpicky on this, as you can tell. But when you're dealing with, I think, reflective objects, I think there's a little bit more, it's a bit more demanding. Rain, when I do eventually do the painting book, I think I could do a Kickstarter for that. I wouldn't even need that much money. I've kind of like priced it out, like the book layout service I would want to use and the printing service I would want to use. So I would have a price per copy. Then I would need to figure out shipping and then add all that up and figure out, you know, what's my minimum that would make it worthwhile to do this. Because I would be self-publishing it. And I think that Kickstarter could do that for me. Like, it would probably be like a $10,000 Kickstarter. You know, minimum. Because just the book layout is going to be like $3 or $4 grand. Because it's going to be a lot of color, right? Color photos, and I want it to look nice. I want it to look professional. Yeah, it'll be a while, though. Because writing a book takes so long, and especially a painting book. Like, writing a regular novel takes long enough, but when you are trying to write something that you're trying to be, like, definitive about, plus it's going to be pretty big, plus you have to shoot photos for a lot of it. Like, shooting the photos adds another, like, it just doubles the time. It doubles the time to do the thing. If not more, depending on if you're painting a specific example. When you see painting books on the market and you wonder why they're expensive, guys, it's because it takes us so freaking long to do this stuff. It takes so much time. And we like to be repaid for that time. Especially people who like depend on painting for their income. You're taking time away from the things that earn you money, and you're doing this project which may or may not make you any money in the long run. And it's a really big, long project. So yeah, it'll be a while. It'll be a while. I have started on it. I have a big outline, a definitive outline for it. But I definitely, it's something that I work on when I have a little extra oomph and a little extra time and a little extra focus apart from all the other stuff I'm working on. Like right now, it's not getting worked on at all because the novel, I need to get the novel done. But yeah, I won't do a Kickstarter, Rain, until I have the entire book written, all the pictures done, all of my, printing and layout sourced, and a shipping estimate. And probably I'll have to talk to Reaper if I want their help. And I probably will want Reaper's help, because they are experts in Kickstarters, and I am not, and I'll be using a lot of Reaper product in the book. So I'm hoping that Reaper, in its infinite generosity, would help me out a little with just like remembering that I'm doing stuff, like making sure I'm doing stuff correctly. So yeah, it's because I want everything prepared, because the last thing you want is to like take money from a crap ton of people and then still be working on the product. Like for me, that's just like death right there. That would be horrible amounts of stress. So yeah, it's going to be, the project will be completely done before I look into a Kickstarter. Then if we do a Kickstarter, all I have to worry about is like stretch goals and crap. Yeah, I write everything first, Crowley. And with my example sections, then it's just really outlined or just a rough kind of really rough draft, paragraph by paragraph. Then as I'm painting the thing, I go back and I update those paragraphs with things that I think of as I do the thing, right? There's going to be stuff I change. There's going to be like stuff that's just an idea or an extra note, a sidebar, all that stuff that comes up when you're actually doing the thing that you think of something, oh, I should mention this, right? So it's definitely writing everything first. Well, yeah, Kerniko. Unless I kind of assume whenever somebody mentions a model, it's unpainted unless they say otherwise. This is how much I know my paint fam. All right, so let's do a little bit of a brown gray here to highlight the lower parts of the shield. This is looking really cool, guys. I'm like really liking it. It's come along really well. But yeah, like, because if you own a model and you actually have painted it or started it, you always mention it, right? I'm working on this one, right? If you don't mention that, then obviously you haven't, and we're just gonna let that go. The last thing any of us want to do is hold somebody else accountable for stuff we're not doing ourselves. I'm gonna mix my purple and my brown together. Put a little white in it. Ooh, that was too much white. The color that I'm making, I want it to be a gray, but I want it to be a brownish gray. That went way too purple. That's better. And if it's too light, I'm just going to thin it a little bit. Boop. Yeah, it's storm season. It's a little late for storm season in Texas, but I mean, we do get plenty of summer storms. Unlike here, where the weather like hits a certain level in California, in the Silicon Valley, like it hits a certain point and then it just freezes and time stops for the whole summer. It's very monotonous. Guys, I don't think David is behind my idea of buying the inflatable hot tub, by the way. I've been really, really doing a deep dive into inflatable hot tubs to see if I really want to try one. And I think I have one picked out. Like, I think I'm going to go for it. It might even be my big birthday present this year. But David's like, really? You want a hot tub? I'm like, have you forgotten the fact that I used to go in the hot tub at our apartment complex all the time? Have you forgotten the fact that I asked you like 16 zillion times if we could find a house with a hot tub in it? Or that had a hot tub already? He's like, I'd forgotten that. Yeah, see how that light? Look at that. Bringing in that highlight along the edges of the wood. Look how cool that looks. Oh, hurricane season way early, yeah. Yeah, inflatable hot tub looks like a thing. Like I think I'm gonna do it, guys. I think I'm gonna do it. I have to talk myself into spending the money. And I probably will actually wait until it's a little cooler. Like, I'll probably wait till September. Though apparently you can get them super cheap if you buy them during a Black Friday sale. But the ones I'm looking at are about the $400 to $500 range. I love that. I love how that highlight looks. It's so great. Sometimes you do a highlight on a thing, and you're just like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. It was totally accidental that it was exactly what you wanted. Totally accidental. But that's how, when you get that, when you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, like, then you know you did it right. Like, that was exactly the thing you wanted to do. No, not at all, Kerniko. So I really believe, for one thing, we don't really have room for a permanent hot tub. That's the thing. An inflatable one, I can get a smaller one, and the real hot tub costs $5,000, and the inflatable hot tub costs $500. So you can see why. I was just reading an article written by a guy on his blog the other day, actually this morning, and he was talking about how he wanted a hot tub. His wife was not sold on it. She said, get the inflatable one, and if you really use it, then we can look at putting in a new one in a year. And so he did it, and he loves his inflatable hot tub, and he's like, he actually decided he didn't need a real one. He's like, really, this is enough. Like, how much extra enjoyment would I get for spending another $4,500? Yeah, here the insects are much lower population. So yeah, I don't think that I'm up for a regular hot tub. We long ago, we decided when we moved in here there wasn't really a place for it. But when I found out about the inflatable hot tubs, I was like, oh, I could do that. Because I could totally, like, reorganize our patio for, like, we aren't going to be out there a lot in, like, fall, winter, early spring, and that's when I would want it, right? Yeah, that's a big difference. All right. So yeah, so that looks lovely. The shield now looks correct. We've mostly lost our blue underpainting, but you can still see it. You can still see it in various places. Now, we do need to address that down here and block it out and put in some grays here, and we need to do the sword. Is it Luca Day today? Is he here, Quindy? Is he present? Is he in the building? Or is he taking a break? Gonna get my red and glaze it down. Get it in here. Pretty sure he's not streaming today. Okay, he's off this week. Thanks, Foreshadow. Yeah, I thought I remembered him taking a break. I just didn't know how long that break was going to be. So I'm getting some of my red and I'm thinning it down so I can glaze. This is looking really good. This is happy. Now I want to do it on a different piece. Maybe I'll do it on my, there's a bust I want to work on. I want to take, you guys know the, oh, who did it? Is it, might be a big child. It's the sorceress lady who's got the phoenix or the falcon on her arm. David painted her. But I've been wanting to take her and paint her as a ranger or a druid. So do her all in greens and browns. Do a little bit of sculpting detail that changes her a little bit. It's good that Luca took some time off. He needs to. People will come back when he comes back. think I need to mix up an actual gray at this point. The chicken lady. Yep. Yeah, the chicken lady. So I think the chicken lady would make a great ranger. I need to, I'll need to sculpt a bow and figure out how to put it on her back. Or in her hand. I'm not sure. Like, I need to still think about it. Like, I need to let this project kind of roll over in my head a bit. But I think she would make a great ranger, and I know exactly the color scheme I want to use, which is unusual for me. Like, often I'm just tossing around ideas in my head. I need to green out this a little bit and blue it out a little. I'm mixing a gray right now. And I want it to be the same gray as I kind of used on, like, the front of the leg here. So this kind of greenish. Actually, it's almost perfect right now. Kind of a greenish light. If I put this right next to it, you can see that it's about the right color. Yeah, it's nice where we are as well, Twisted Oma, today. But we're supposed to have heat in another few days. But yeah, I think Chicken Lady would be a great ranger. And it's actually the only one, like, when David paints a model, I often lose interest in doing so. But, like in painting it myself. But Chicken Lady, I'm just going to call her that now. Because, you know, homage to Luca, who cannot be with us today. Chicken Lady is one that I've come around to considering painting because I've got such a strong, clear concept for her. So now we got to do NMM with this gray, this weird mid-gray as our main color. So this just counts as colored NMM. Yeah, Chicken Lady isn't a Reaper model. She's a big bust from, I think, Big Child. Don't quote me on that, though. I often forget which company various busts are from. Like that, and then there's the, you know, David's Swifty model, the Mark Maslin's girl, concert goer girl. I really, and Quindy, you're going to love this, I really want to paint her as a Cure fanatic, a goth girl, with a Cure Disintegration concert t-shirt. The Cure was my favorite band in high school. I totally want to goth her out. And I did not find her jean jacket to be like a deal breaker on that because I was a goth girl who wore a jean jacket, so Oh no, I mean it's in production. You can get it. You guys here, I'll go fetch David's. 1 second. Just to remind you all who Chicken Lady is. We're fetching a mini. Yeah, we're not quite done yet, Papa. We're not quite done. We need to fetch a mini. Yeah, we need to fetch a mini. Hold on. Hold on, little Papa. Boop. Boop, boop. Chicken Lady. Yeah, this is not a limited War Shadow. These models are not limited. These models are constantly in production. Oh yeah, coworker Swifty David's Mini. Did they like it? He listens to a lot of Taylor Swift, guys. He bought her new album. I think he's a Swifty now. I married a Swifty. Made her day. Awesome. But yeah, so this is Chicken Lady. But I think Chicken Lady is very doable as a ranger. Like, especially if I put a weapon in her hand, I would have to resculpt the hand. That's the big one right there, right? Or I could do a fire, like a spell effect here, and make her a druid. She works, it's easier to make her a druid, but I think I like her better as a ranger. So yeah, this is my thoughts. I'll put her up here until we can end the stream. Oh, and I found a project when I was going through my collection, guys, that we haven't looked at for a very long time. And I thought about bringing it back. Quindy, you remember this one? Kurnico? Remember him? Oh, she's out of stock, but not OOP. Yeah. So we started this back when David and I were in the apartment, and I stopped doing it because it's just so monotonous, right? But we could totally start doing this model again. I might not finish it. We might take another break. But, like, we might work on it for a while and then take another break. Like, I need to, for one thing, I want the green to be darker. Like, we need more contrast on it. It's all pastels. So we're thinking, I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. Yeah. So yeah, it needs a lot more contrast. So if we went back to it, I would be essentially reworking a bunch of it, probably from the nose back, and then continuing in that vein. Yeah, well, I kind of did too. I mean, I've got like purple or icy violet undersides of the wings, and I've got the green and the orange and the yellow. I mean, we've got almost a rainbow palette on mine. I also might change up some of the gems so that they're not all orange. I might make some more red and some more... I'm just putting in the black on the underside of this, guys. Taylor could totally do Blondie covers. Oh my god. If Taylor did an album of covers of like classic 80s chick like power songs, I would be in. I like her stuff. I'm just a little fussy because like Antihero is such a good song, and there are a few others that she's done that I like. Blondie is a gateway drug for harder music. It's true. It's true. Very true. So how you been doing, D. Clerman? Like, summer going well? I saw that your bear was... The bear was done. Have you finished all of the cake topper now, or are you working on the other models? Oh, yeah, that's much worse, Zachariah. Much worse. Much worse. Cake topper totally done. Awesome. Fantastic. So I mixed a bit of white with that gray that I mixed up, and now we're doing a bit of highlighting. She does random covers at her concerts. Cool. Oh yeah, Fleetwood Mac. Stevie Nicks. Yep. Working on some palette cleansers. Awesome. I can see that after being devoted to that project that you had to get done for a while. Needing some palette cleanser is real. Let's see here. Do I want to do... I feel like I want to do... I want to look at this. Yeah, I could do it. I need to kind of like work back and forth here on the sword blade with some darks and lights. SSC wants to be all things to all people. But only if they have pets. Only if they give pets. Trying to get a little variation here on the sword. Alrighty, let's see here. I want to put just a touch. I want to try to put just a touch of a little yellow here. I feel like I want just a little yellow toward the nose. So kind of just messing around with this. I want the underside definitely to be gray, so I should block that black first. Meeping and holding his paw. Oh. Poor SSC. Denied. He's like, what is this grumpy human? It makes me feel sad for the little Scottish cat. I know, right, Quindy? I want to give him a high five, too. Yes, please give him high fives for us, Kuroniko. To make up for the grumpy workman. I think we would all spoil small Scottish cat pretty mercilessly if given the chance. So I'm trying to do like some interspersed light and shadow. Just going to try to keep it pretty subtle though. Oh, Quindy. Oh no. Even small Scottish cat could not possibly get the heart of that iron-hearted workman. That's like the intro to a movie where the main character has to change and ends up loving cats. No one likes that work, dude. Red flag right there. You guys are hilarious. I love it. I love it, Papa. I mean, I might not have a cat right now, but I could not resist petting that or high-fiving that. That's a little too light. Often with something like this, where your light is kind of indirect bouncy, especially on the back side of the blade, you're not sure what you want to do. I will futz back and forth on this a lot, kind of popping up my highlights and then bringing them down, trying to figure out where the mid-ground I need to be in is at. And so this is why I tell you guys, just try it. Just, you know, just play around with some stuff. because sometimes you don't know until you like put the color down in the model and then your gut says, eh. Because remember that our eye is always better, is always like further ahead than our hand, right? What that means is you can make that work for you. Because when you do a thing, you can tell, like, right? You're like, oh no, that's not what I wanted. But use that for yourself. Because that lets you, like, experiment until you find the right thing. Like, it's kind of turning your inner critic into your inner ally. Because your inner critic is going to be like, oh, that doesn't look good, or that's not quite right, you know. So try something else and kind of use that gut barometer. I mean, don't totally trust it, because sometimes our inner critic is completely wrong and the thing looks perfectly fine. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. So if part of your brain says, no, I think that looks good, and your inner critic is like, that's not good enough, then you should just, you know, tell it to go stand in the corner for a while. But if your inner critic is like, that's not quite right, it doesn't look real, you know, then maybe listen to it, try a few other things. It does not have to be your enemy. It can be reutilized. You were so angry you almost left a 1-star review. Oh my god. That would be hilarious. Left 1-star review because worker was rude to our cat. You would need to include a picture of your cat looking sad in the review with a little hat on or something. And that like contractor would get no further work from cat lovers. Kiki would absolutely do things that are wrong, but she's also just wanting attention all the time. And I can't fault her for that. So now I want a little bit of cool light reflection down here. My gray is a little too warm for this, so I need to grab something that's a little more blue. Probably just a mixture of my black and some white. With maybe a little blue into it, because my black is warmed up. Yeah, that was in Boots' eyes with the review, for sure, for sure. Need a little bit more blue in this. And that went totally too far. Too far, people, too far. I'm just going to mix all of this blue back into my black so that I can create the proper gray. Alright. Alright, I wanted to blue out these a little bit. And again, we're trying to like kind of alternate. You always want to kind of alternate the dark and the light. I'm going to do edge highlight, bottom, give us just a little bit. I need a little bit more. That didn't quite go light enough. we go. Now I can see the edge. That's what I want. I want to see the edge. So this is looking pretty cool. I think I'm going to do kind of a diagonal line. I used to like doing these. Kind of create a little bit of a wavery kind of looking light in there. So that looks kind of neat. I want to put a dark line down the center of the sword. Get that groove down the middle. It's starting to look cool. But you can see how I'm keeping my warmer light on the top and the cooler light on the bottom. Is intentional. You can tell I like this mini because I'm putting a lot more extra effort into it. We are about right to stop since we don't have a Luca. I'm just going to grab a little bit of this gray and my black. But the back of the sword is looking pretty cool. I need to work on it still. We just don't want to go too high with our highlights there, since we're kind of just channeling not as much light. I want to keep my shadows a little bit lighter. And then I need to get the white on that upper edge. And then we'll call it for the day. Just want to kind of get it So you can use the side of your brush and you can very, very lightly run over these two grooves. And I'll have to come back and just do that later. Alright, so that's a decent start. However, I've got a lot of cold light over here, and it's not really showing the warm light up here. And so if I'm going to keep doing this, I really need to make sure that the warm light comes in a little bit more. I wonder what, if I just glaze with my yellow, if that will be enough. So let's try it. I need to thin down my yellow to do that, though. Colored water. Colored water. And what I want to do is I just want to glaze this entire upper surface. Throw a little more yellow on that. Let it dry. Now it looks a little bit more like it belongs, right? I think I can hit it one more time. That looks better. And I need to still do this glove. There's a little bit of light on the front there that I need to echo. Just a little bit. We made a lot of progress today. Whew, okay, that was a lot. So we've got front and back. I may still dull this down a little. Need to bring that in. We need to get this whole section down here. Maybe hit the boot a little bit more. It's really coming along. Really coming along. Yeah, I like it. Thanks, Rain. But yeah, you can see how much like little tiny adjustments I spent today doing, right? Just little tiny adjustments. And it's not a patience thing. I actually really enjoy this part of the mini. I enjoy just kind of sitting there and kind of getting into the mini, just kind of letting myself kind of really just kind of sink into it, kind of look at it, and just making little tiny adjustments, like, and having it all look better every time I adjust something. Like that's it. This is my favorite part of the model, is the end part where you're starting to like focus in on the details, correct your shadows and some of your colors. Yeah, so it's all a little bit at a time, and yet it all like adds, right? So we're working more and more, and getting closer and closer to finished. And even then, we can still see the coolness in the shadows, right? That's the goal. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah, I like this part. So yeah, there we go. So we're getting there, and we need to still do a lot of the sword on the front. Needs adjustment. So we still need that as well. But it progressed. It progressed, folks. Tomorrow may be a basing day, because we've got, and tomorrow will be the last day I'm streaming before my birthday on Friday. Just a reminder on everybody. Because we've got Sophie here, so we may do the base on her tomorrow, or start it. I need to dig out some thin plastic card. Sure, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So since she's also ready for basing, so I think that's what we'll do tomorrow, guys. We'll do a basing stream. We'll work on various bases, and we'll probably throw one of those in every once in a while from now on, maybe even every week. Yeah, thanks. You're welcome, everybody. And thank you for hanging out. And thank you, Quindy, for herding ye cats. And Korniko for literally herding cats. And you guys have a great day, all right? I'm gonna have a pretty good one today, I think. It's gonna be good. All right. See you later.